Hey guys, what's up and welcome to another episode of TheGoodCastShow. So just a few months ago, I attended an event, a remembrance of Mr. Ganapathy and Veera Senan, two former members of the Communist Party who lost their lives, and it was remembering their contributions to the country. And in that event, I saw a man who in fact invited me to it, and he was a very unassuming character, walking around in the background and ensuring everything was going on well. However, to my surprise, after the introductions of the key people at this event, I realized that he had truly an amazing story. He was part of the activism and the fight for a more independent, a more democratic Malaysia, and he suffered the brunt of it, being even detained by ISA. So before this, then after I contacted him, and then he suggested he was open to coming on the podcast, and he also shared that he has written a book. And so today's discussion will be centering around the book and his journey from a student activist to what he's doing today. Now, before I start, just a quote from the book that I really liked, which comes at the end of it. Where there is repression, there is rebellion. If the country does not undergo any reform, discontent will increase, leading to instability, ultimately bringing the downfall of the ruling clique. Whether our country will move forward towards peace or chaos depends very much on the wisdom of the people of Malaysia. So my guest today was detained, as I said, under the infamous ISA from 1976 to 1985. Once a student activist, he then went on to become an EXCO member of Hakam after his release from ISA. He is currently the Secretary General of Parti Rakyat Malaysia, and today we are here to discuss his book, Malaysia, 45 Years Under the Internal Security Act. So please welcome Mr. Koh Swe Yong. How are you, sir? Thank you so much for joining the podcast, sir. And it's truly amazing to have you on. I read this book and it is such an eye-opening book, as I said. A lot of facts here we did not know, a lot of stories of how things were when you were a student activist. But before we get into the book, I'd just like to get your, to learn more about you. Why did you become a student activist back then?
Why? In fact, during my school days, I have actually intention of traveling.
Okay.
And at the same time working. So when I was admitted to university, I don't have actually intention to take part in activities. But because of the time I was staying in a college, we say college. Actually, it's a hostel for students. So one evening, I met while after my dinner, so I was talking to one of my senior, and then he mentioned about there's a Chinese language society where they are doing performance. So they are going to have a performance, and they are going to do it not only in Kuala Lumpur, but also they are going to the south, like to Johor, to Malacca, Negeri Sembilan, and also to the north, to like Ipoh, Penang, Kedah. So on hearing that, because that time I actually wanted, during my school days, I used to hitchhiking.
Okay.
Sometimes with a classmate or with friends, and most of the time it's alone. So going around like to JB, to Penang, to Ipoh. So because of that, he say, why not you join in? Then you can go around. Because of that, I said, okay. So I joined in.
Okay. And at that time, you became a student activist, and I think you are talking about the cultural shows that happened post May 13. There was a lot of these cultural events happening, right?
Yes,
I think you mentioned this about as well in your book. What was the reason for these cultural shows that were being organized post May 13?
This Chinese, language society, earlier their activities is more confined to academic. They publish like yearly, some magazine or journal. And then because of 1969, there's actually 1972 is early January, there was a flood in KL. And later, there's a troupe from Hong Kong. So they come to perform in KL. So some of the students from University of Malaya, they were attracted and they watched the show. So after that, they start to change, this society, into more
Political.
not political, cultural.
Cultural, okay. But interesting when I was reading this book, because this book again centers around ISA and how it was used for the 45 years, the amount of detainees, arrests, even the deaths when they happened there. And there is I think in the midsection of this book, you do share a list of detainees, and a lot of them are very, very young. We're talking about 1960. There's also talk about how at that time, high schools were getting involved in politics in Malaysia. What was it like as a student when it comes to your attitude towards the politics of the time when you were young and an activist? Were they all really involved? I mean, how was their involvement like?
You see, this our school, there are different mediums. For the Chinese medium school, so they are mainly privately run by the community. So these students from a Chinese school, they are actually influenced by events happen in China. So like for instance, during that 30s, 40s, where they were, Japanese were, occupied China. In fact, wanted to take over China.
Yeah.
So many of people here, plus a student in the school, so they involved, in raising, like for instance, the fund for the war in China to help the troops in China.
Okay.
So that's how these students, the Chinese school, they are more politically inclined because of that.
Were their attitudes indifferent towards the politics in Malaysia?
That time they were more towards
China.
China.
So when did that switch started happening then? When they started focusing more on events happening in Malaysia?
In fact, I think it's related because during the time, the Communist Party of Malaya was formed.
Yes.
Yeah. So, in fact, these CPM members, they are active not only in the workers' sphere. And then they are also try to influence the student.
Okay.
So that's how when Japanese, attack China, so more. They are more involved in the try to get help to help China.
Okay. Now, before we get into the book and certain key moments for me reading it, is that why were you detained by the ISA?
Why? Okay.
Why?
Yeah, I would say that is because during my time in the university, the student activism was very much alive. Before 1969, the election, the students' union, AMSU, University of Malaya Student Union, so they were very actively involved in this campaigning. They used to organize, go outside campus to hold, this campaign, to tell the people about what is, happening now. And also many of them, they are socialist inclined. So they tell the people about the situation in the country.
Okay.
So there's in fact, there was a University Act was later
Yes.
enacted.
Yes, which
in
you talk in the
Parliament.
book, but much later on. I think.
After, I think about that time, when the student, they went out of a campus to go around the country.
Yes.
Yeah, so this University Act was enacted. But although there's an act, it was not really implemented on the student.
Okay. Now you, but again, you were detained because you were one of those students who was going around and sharing these, educating people about what's happening in Malaysia and the issues. Is it? Was that why you were a threat?
Okay. You see, when I joined university, so other than because I joined Chinese Language Society, and then because the content, the performance, the dance, the sketches, they carry out, in fact, reflect more on the life of ordinary people. And also at the time, there's a socialist club. They are members. So these members, they are actually active in this student union. So because of this, so the student then was quite closely, involved in outside. The activities.
I see, and you were one of them then.
Actually, I joined CLS like my first year, second year, third year. So it's more within the campus.
Okay.
So like that time there were many demonstrations, protests.
Okay.
Like one is Tasik Utara issue, where the so-called squatters in JB, they were promised by the ruling,
the Alliance government,
Alliance Party, that if they support them during election, they will be given the title to the land. But after the election, they are instead given them promise what they have given, so they were evicted from the houses, the land they were occupying.
Okay.
So this where MU student, when they come to know it, so they went there and then supported. So this one, and then that, other than that, that is 74 lah. And after that, there was a Baling issue.
Yes.
Where the rubber tappers and also smallholders, because during that time the rubber prices were very low.
Yeah.
And then also during December, it's a wet season, so they can hardly tape rubber. So maybe 1 month they can only tape few days. So the amount of money or income they get cannot support their life. So they protested in Baling. And then some students, read the news, because at the time the students were very active. So they saw that. So they went to find out. Because of that, the students from various universities joined together, want to protest and ask the government to help these farmers. So that issue, that make the government finally implement UCA lah. That means they take action against the students.
Students, yes.
They even like Chinese Language Society, they banned this Chinese Language Society. So I mean, because of student, they were very much active involved in the social issue. So the government don't like it. No? So they take action.
Okay. Now, again, just one more thing, because in the book you touch on it quite sparingly, but then you are detained. You go into ISA. Could you elaborate on your experiences? I mean, the first few weeks. I mean, there is stories you talk about how you never changed your clothes for 30 days and all that. How were you detained, and what was your experience like for the first few days in ISA?
Okay. In fact, I graduated in 75, and then I did 1 year diploma in education. It means after I got my diploma, I was posted to Pekan, Pahang. So I was a teacher. So, you see, because of a bullying issue, the students were supposed to hold a very large gathering in Selangor Padang. That means the Selangor Club. But before the government, the student can gather together, the government then use FRU to disperse the student. So all the students, they go to National Mosque. So in fact, the time I was at the post office, the time the post office was just opposite the Padang. So I was hiding at the post office. After, in fact, one of FIU, they were looking for a student chase a student away. So I was hiding one corner, maybe because most of demonstrators people who gather there mostly are Malay students. So they saw Chinese, and I just very ordinary clothing, don't like a student. So I was, they let me off. Didn't do anything. So after that, some of a student, they say, hey, we go to National Mosque. Say the mosque is a place where, if you have any difficulties or face any problem, you can go there and then you are safe inside. So because of that, all the students, go to the National Mosque. So, but, the police, at the end, they surrounded the mosque and, in fact, the FRU. They use on the truck. So there was, I think, a magistrate or what. They give order that you student must disperse. If you don't disperse, action will be taken. So, but the student, that time, in fact, Anwar Ibrahim was giving speech there. In the mosque, yes. So now the student didn't bother. Now they say it's a place where, if you have any difficulty, any trouble, you can go there as a refuge. You can, safe place. So after the warning was given, this, in fact, they ring the bell. And then FIU start to shoot tear gas inside the mosque.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the FIU rush in. Rounded up all the students.
Okay.
And ask the student one by one go on the truck. And then I think more than 1,000 students were detained in the police.
Including you?
Yeah, I was inside. So, So I was in, I think, Sentul. Then later was moved to Samara, the Jalan Samara.
Yeah.
Now last time it's called Gurney Road, where the police training center. So we were kept there for one night. Next day, so they hold one court session there, where we were asked to, they want to charge us, so they release us, but we ourselves, be our own, what you call that, in Malay is a jamin. That means
guarantee lah. Guarantee.
Yeah. So
your own guarantor, yes.
Yeah, we guarantee ourselves. So that's how the event ended. So but after few days, this the government, the police started to raid campus, and start to detain student unions who were involved in this gathering, protest.
So then when you go into ISA now?
Now the time I was not detained.
Not detained, okay.
So like for instance, we come to MU, they have a list. So they will look at the list, and then this whoever they want, if he's a person they want, then they will detain the person.
But during the time when you were in ISA, especially when you just entered, were you ever fearful of your life? For your life, sorry.
Yeah, in fact, when I was, joined this Chinese language society, the police, the special branch, actually, they have already watched us. So, but because I wasn't, not a committee member, so I just an ordinary member. I joined only activities, like choir, like sketch. So myself,
you were under the radar, lah.
But not in their list of person to be detained.
Okay.
So those were like saying they're hiding in the the college. So when the police raid, some of them were detained, but some were able to get away.
But then when you were in ISA, when you were in custody, or detainee, whatever the term is, I'm sure you would have known at that time that there were so many cases where, I think starting from the 60s, I think even late 50s, where ISA was used to arrest a lot of people, detain, there were deaths. The book talks about how sometimes people just go missing, die. Didn't you feel any fear for your life? Did you ever think that I'm going in, but I most likely won't come out? Was that the thought in your head?
No. Like for instance, after the Baling issue, so I can go in and out of a university, not without any problem. That means I'm not the student where they want to arrest.
Okay.
So that means I still feel that I'm okay.
No, but when you were in ISA, when you are already detained in ISA, did you fear for you? Did you ever have those thoughts of fear, like maybe I won't come out of this?
I at beginning, no.
Okay.
Because in fact, they know my movement, you see. So when I was detained, I thought it may be only for a short while.
But ended up being about 9 years, if I'm not mistaken. 9 years.
9 years.
Now, is it true, because at that event, apparently you were given the chance to leave, but then you declined their offer because they offered you some terms and you declined it. Is that true?
Because the time every detainees under ISA, they will give some condition. The time, for instance, one is they will hold one session in TV where you will talk during that session. During the TV broadcast.
Talk about?
talk about, like for instance, they will say, oh, you were involved in activities that's detrimental to the country. So you feel regret now. Huh? So,
in national TV.
Yeah. This one. If you decline, then they say, okay, you hold one press conference. You organize press conference. Then in front of a reporter, you say something, and the reporter will ask question.
So this time you said no to, and then you were asked to go back.
If you accept, normally you'll be released.
Okay.
If like that time I say, no, cannot. I cannot do that. So they'll put inside. No? Other than that, like if you still don't, then they say, okay, you write something.
Wow.
Just write something.
Like a letter, like a apology or something.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, at a glance, this book, it seems like the time you describe, especially towards the tail end of the British time in Malaysia, and then after independence, after independence, there seems to be a very large divide between the people and the ruling class. Whether it's the at that time it was the alliance, right? And this divide was so huge that despite the fact that ISA was, I think at that time it was called the Emergency Ordinance, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Then it was counted to the ISA.
This before 60.
Before 60s. Then it was counted to the ISA, right? It was replaced with the ISA. Despite the many arrests, the supposed deaths and all that kind of things, Malayans were willing to still fight or join these organizations, the left or whatever you want to call it, and basically risk it all. I mean, the number of arrests in this book is insane. It looks like anyone who gained some level of prominence, they would just arrest him, to stop the left, right? What were the reasons that the people felt so much anger or frustration towards the alliance at that time?
Okay, that they have to look back the history. Now, when the British took over this country, we are actually a colony of the British. But after First World War, so those colonial countries under the West, they start to become conscious, and many wanted to become independent. So they start to fight for independence. So for our country, in fact, the earliest, the political party that was formed was Communist Party of Malaysia. That was, according to history, is 1931.
Yes.
But during that time, there are others, because our country, there are Chinese, Malay, Indians, basically the three main races. Although Chinese and Indian, they are here as foreign workers. So their purpose of coming here is to earn some money, and then they'll go back. Because of CPM, also because like the Malays or Indian and Chinese, they are actually influenced by this trend. So many of them, they become conscious politically. So like CPM, the time form, is basically among the workers. But the Malays, that time, there are some young people, mostly young people. So they also form some sort of organization, which actually also that encourage to fight for independence. So among the Indians too. So that's how the thing goes but the British, like the CPM, once they have detained CPM members, if they are Chinese, they will be deported to China. So, and then the Malays, where they form one they call KMM.
Yeah, Kesatuan Melayu Muda.
Yeah. So in fact, they were the members were detained in the 1940 before the Japanese occupation. So that's how the British, they try to suppress the people here so that they still will be under their control. So, but you see here that there's a difference among the Chinese, because Japanese were attacking China and they want to occupy China. So the Chinese are here, they are, can say, anti-Japanese. But the Malays and the Indians, they also want independence. But many of them, they see Japanese, they can, go through the Japanese to attain independence from the West. So the Japanese also say that, they are going to fight for y'all, and then to be independent from the Western colonialists. So that's how the political development goes.
But at one point, you also say in the book that after post-independence, when there are many sort of suggestions and hints, sometimes even quite overtly, it said that the alliance at that time were merely the puppets of the British. Why do you say that?
Okay, you see, after World War II, in fact, British, they were driven out by the Japanese.
Yeah.
So 3 years, 8 months.
In fact, there was a time where Malaysia was not...
Yeah, they was under the Japanese.
Yeah. So
the British were actually...
gone. They were in Goa, I think.
They ran away, actually. So those who left behind, like the Chinese and the local people are Chinese, the Malay, the Indian, many, they actually fight against Japanese. So when World War II ended, the British came back. So the time CPM is the main one who were fighting the Japanese. So they agreed to, go through a peaceful way of negotiation with the British to attain independence. So that's how the British also allowed them to, last time, before the war, they were actually not legally recognized.
I think after that they became legal.
So after that they become, that means they can openly organize themselves.
Yeah.
So that's how, the time here, the people here actually wanted independence.
Okay.
And because British knows that, in fact, the time UN was formed, there was agreement that all these colonial countries should be given independence. So Malaya, the time, also is a colonial country. So British know that they are going to leave this country politically. But we know that this country, British actually profit a lot.
Yes.
It's actually more than what they get it from India.
Especially with the rubber for the war and all that.
So because the time the people are already become conscious, they want independence, and British know that they have to leave, but they leave. They hope that economically they can still maintain. They still can exploit as what he did when he was a master here. So because of that, the British started to encourage like those
Aristocrats,
aristocrat or the Malay elite, the civil servant, to be active in the politics.
Now, again, there are some amazing lines in this book. One of them is you say that the common belief that we have as Malaysians is that we have achieved our independence through diplomatic negotiations without the use of a single rifle nor a bullet and without shedding one drop of blood. This sentence is said to be a lie which was purposely crafted. Why do you say that this statement is a statement that I think a lot of Malaysians, I believe for a long time, is a lie?
Okay. This, you see, the alliance government, okay, and the British, they do not want our people here to know the exact, the actual situation. No? So, you see, in order, when they live politically, they can get somebody they can trust. And this group of people can still protect their economic interests. So that's how, according to most of academicians, they say UMNO was formed. In fact, UMNO was encouraged by the British. So at the end, after the British has suppressed the People's, party, People's Party, so they push UMNO. Later, like MCA, UMNO, and then MIC, where they form alliance to take over the power from them. But this, this alliance, they follow what the British asked them to do.
This was a very interesting time because before May 13th, 1969, after independence, you saw I think that you could argue was the most strongest form of the left in the form of the Socialist Front. They were in government, in parliament. They were a coalition of very strong parties. They had a lot of captivating people. I think Dato' On was also part of it. The Malayan National Party, I think, if not mistaken, all that. A lot of Ahmad Bostaman and all these kind of guys, really captivating individuals, great statesmen, right? And it was the communist threat, this fictitious communist threat used by the alliance government at that time to give allowance to ISA to go in and apprehend most of the left until it causing the collapse of it caused the collapse of the Socialist Front, CPM of course on their own, and then PRM was weakened severely. Was that the reason? Was communism just an excuse?
After the war, so the people here has agreed with the British where they were operate, peacefully.
Okay.
Yeah. So people like Ganapati, Verisanan, so they were active in this union. Even before that, they were very active in the union.
Okay.
So they were actually wanted to fight, for the people's interest through a peaceful way. But after the British, they know that if they were to, to pass the power to people like Ganapati and others, now Posaman and others, so these people will not cooperate with them.
Correct, because they were too, they had ideas.
Yeah, because the idea they are fighting for the interests of the people.
Yeah.
So this where, they declared the emergency ordinance in 1948, where they started to suppress, to take action against all these people who didn't want to cooperate with them. Then, because of that, that's why the CPM, they go
to Thailand, I think.
They go to the jungle and then fight.
Yes. Guerrilla warfare.
To attain independence, because they see there's no way they can,
Correct.
through peaceful way, for a few years.
But just one on that note, do you think that CPM's decision to convert their struggle from what they were doing before to an armed struggle was a wrong move, because it gave the alliance every excuse now to go hard on the left?
I think whether CPM or people like Bostaman, actually Bostaman, okay, he didn't wanted to join the armed group in the jungle. Yeah. So you see, you took arm, so they will take action against you. Oh, I mean, easier for them to give excuses. But people like Bostaman, so he didn't join. Like Shamshah Fakir. So he joined. But he didn't join. Because Bostaman and others, they wanted truly independence. Not only politically, but economically, they want this country to be independent as well. So this British also didn't allow. They still take action against them and then put them into jail. So they use the EO, emergency ordinance, detain them without trial. So like Bostaman, the second time, actually in 1940 he was detained. And then 1947, that is before the emergency ordinance, he was detained again because he wanted immediate independence for this country. So whether you use arm or you don't use arm, as long as whatever you propose does not,
you're in opposition with them, they will come after you.
Yeah, they will go after you.
But I always, while reading this book, I was thinking myself, because the whole book really gives a very bare, raw truth as to what happened in terms of just how the ISA were just detaining everyone, right? From the left. The left really got it. And, people from PAS, so many parties, were really destroyed. I think PRM was one of them. And I want to get to that in a bit. But do you think, why do you think that the alliance was so adamant and so aggressive in their wanting to lock up the left? Was it to stomp out the influences, say maybe from China, or at that time was it to just is that they could not compete against the people? Were their policies not better, or was it that they needed to just get them out because the general public did not like the alliance as well? Because in this book, you do talk about how maybe Tunku Abdul Rahman was not as the person I thought he was, in fact, right? Why do you think they were so aggressive using the ISA to stamp out the left?
In fact, ISA replaced EO.
EO, yes.
So 1960, for a short while, EO was abolished. So that means there is no detention without trial law in this country until ISA was implemented, I think in August 1960. No? So the thing is, alliance, they were actually brought up by the British.
Yes,
they don't have a people support. So that's why they have to act. And in fact, they listen to what the British wanted them to do. So,
no, sorry, go on, please.
Yeah. So, this alliance, he act very aggressive against people who don't cooperate or didn't want to cooperate with the British.
Do you think that culture still is here today, or do you think UMNO is very different from the alliance in terms of their being heavily influenced by the British or third party forces?
I think we have to look at the greater, the picture. From the world. In fact, today we see the US, before that is the British, they were dominating the world. So they wanted they want the whole world to follow their system. So, like you see, after World War II, in fact, the war is a fight among the few, empire lah. I mean the colonial
the
masters.
superpowers lah. Yeah.
So, this after World War II, okay, they gave independence to this country, but because of Russia, the time they were running a system different from the West. So they are actually two competing system. The West, they wanted, all those countries under them will still follow them. Use their system. Because if they do not follow the system, they cannot continue to exploit. No? So this is how our country or other colonial country where they gain independence, they have to follow, the West. Where you see the Cold War, the time that happened. So that's how the whole world is
operating now.
See, until today, in fact, like what Ahmad Jufris, he keep on saying is the whole problem is a riba.
Yes, correct. He says that many times. Yeah.
Okay, so to say simply, this riba actually is exploitation. When I talked to him first time about why you want to join PRM. So he mentioned about riba. I said, okay, I agree, this is exploitation. So the West, until today, they still do not want to let go whatever they enjoy. So they still want to dominate the whole world. So that the third world or the underdeveloping country will still under their control.
But let's go to just right before PRM. PRM again, I mean, after meeting Ahmad Jufris as well, I didn't know so much about PRM. I knew its sort of history background, but reading your book really shows a very, how rich in history the party is, how important the party was at one point, right? Especially in those days when it was part of the Socialist Front and all that. You could say it was the biggest party in the Socialist Front. It was one of the strongest parties they had. In terms of the ideologies, what was the key differences between the Socialist Front versus the Alliance? What was the things that the Socialist Front were trying to champion?
Okay, PRM say simply.
PRM, okay.
Or Socialist Front. Actually, our constitution, we say, we want everybody to have work. That means our party will guarantee, if you are in power, will guarantee that people will have work.
Jobs,
Yeah, with job. Okay. And then also, that the produce of our country should be fairly shared among the people. So that's why we are called Parti Rakyat. In fact, if you look back, before 1955, people like Postaman and others, when they form a party or organization, they will still use Malay. Like KMM, Kesatuan Melayu Muda. And then later PKM, Parti Kebangsaan Melayu Melaya. So, because the time, the Chinese here and Indian here, they are mostly, they come here to look for a job and then to earn some money, and then they will go back, settle down in their own country. So, but after this World War II, especially after this emergency were declared, they found out that our country definitely will be given independence. By then, because 1949, you see, China was under Mao. So the Chinese cannot actually go back.
Yeah.
Right? So people like Bossaman, they all saw that if this country become independent, the Chinese, the Indian and others will be the citizen of this country. So that's why when he was released, he was detained in 1947, released in 1955. After his release, he formed a party and he changed to Parti Rakyat Malaysia. I mean, they already use Rakyat. That's why I asked the president just passed away 2 years back. I say, why? I mean, I saw a difference. There's a change. What's the reason for the change? So the answer is simple. Say, they know that the time when they knew that Chinese and Indian will be the citizen of this country. So they will be part of people, the Rakyat. So they form a Parti Rakyat.
It's sad because when I read this book and when I was reading that part of what the Socialist Front wanted to bring, they basically wanted to bring things that were different from what we as assume. We always think when it comes to socialism, they want to bring in a very restrictive economy and all that. No, they wanted to be very neutral towards world countries. They, again, like what you said, food security and thriving economy and all these kind of things were part of their thing. But they wanted to do it on their own terms, as opposed to the alliance, as you mentioned, were more reliant on the British for influences and all that. But one thing that was very sad was that despite their strength, ISA was used as a tool to destroy the left. It was broken into pieces, basically. You see a lot of the top people, executive levels, at most the parties were apprehended. Then you write about how after that, because the underlings took over, there were issues within the Socialist Front as well. And then the Socialist Front dissolved, Can the left ever come back from this?
Yeah, the left definitely will come back.
Okay.
So why such thing happen? As what you mentioned just now. You see, because in fact, Socialist Front was formed by, actually it's three party at first. One is Parti Rakyat Labour Party, and another one
Labour Party. Yes.
Another one is called the Socialist Youth.
Yes, I forgot that. Yes.
Line. But this Socialist Youth, before they declare the formation, so they were disbanded, and then many of the leaders were detained. So that means only Labour Party and PRM form Socialist Front. So their program basically, but you see, Labour Party, they were was formed is more model on the British Labour Party.
And apparently that is why the British allowed them, because they had a similar Labour Party in Britain. Yeah.
So, and then PRM, because their program, they are quite similar to many of the socialist program. Yeah. So that's why they can form together. This actually is, although the British has suppressed CPM, by 1955, they have talked with the CPM in Baling. So after that, CPM retreated to Thailand, southern Thailand. When I was collecting data, the information from a newspaper. So it was mentioned that this by the special branch. the psychological department, they say that this CPM actually has no more a threat. So that's why 1960, the EO was abolished. But the thing is 1955, they hold one election. This alliance, they can say they won all the seats except one.
Except one, yes.
But 1959, when the Socialist Fund was formed, and then that time we have a PAS also PAS, although they won 2 states, Kelantan and Terengganu, but that is not a threat to alliance, because they know that they only confined to a small area. But this Socialist Fund, from Penang, Kedah, right to JB, even Kelantan, Pahang, Terengganu. So the time there was this local government election. So they not only won many seats in this local council, they even govern this local council, like the Georgetown local council, and then here KL, Jinjang, Sedang, and others. So this British and also the alliance, they saw Socialist Fund is a potential threat to their power.
Was it the Alliance or the British?
The British, actually the British one.
Yeah.
So that's why after 1960, they say that CPM is no more a threat. That means it should be
no more. Detention without trial.
But the thing is, because the 1959 election, this also, especially the local council election, is very important, because the basic democracy, the cell actually is a local council. So if such a situation was allowed to go on, so this alliance would definitely lose power. So that's why 1960 April, they started to introduce ISA in the parliament. And so after that, they use ISA to detain.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yes.
A lot of them breaking. Yeah.
Those who are active, those who are can work at the ground level, definitely will be detained.
I mean, even in the end, there is a list. I think about 600 over people names were there list. Because I interviewed another man who wrote the book Narratives of from Pyramid, which is about the communists who went to Thailand and formed the friendship villages and all that. And some say the numbers in the thousands as well, people who detained. From the way this detailed here, I wouldn't be surprised. But just in closing, sir, what's the future for PRM now? As we are looking at, possible third force and all these things, where does PRM fit in the Malaysian politics of today?
Okay, PRM, the struggle of PRM.
Yes, the struggle of PRM.
Actually is a people's struggle. So PRM is, what do you call that? It's a struggle of the people. So this struggle started way back before the World War II. In the 1930s, already started, even earlier. So it's carry on. Although, the British, that time, they tried to suppress. And later, when they left and passed political power to Alliance, they continue to suppress. PRM, we saw, like in the 60s, was very influential. But that declined. Until now, from the election result, I would say that influence is diminished. But what we see is, although now we looks like small in number, but the situation is ripe for people's struggle to flourish.
What is your opinion of, at one point PRM was also, quite recently, maybe 25 years, 30 years ago, it had quite a lot of popular members, big names. Then they all left and joined PKR to form PKR.
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
Yeah, I would say, I would say that that is a bad leadership. If the leaders can carry on the struggle of the people, struggle of PRM, today PRM will have many MPs and state assemblymen.
Is PRM the biggest? At this point, the third force is, most notably would be, there's no formal agreement or announcement, but the most active parties are PSM and MUDA.
Yeah.
In the recent I Kuning by-elections, PRM throws true support towards Bawani, backed Bawani, endorsed her and all that. Will PRM ever be part of another coalition, a third option for the Malaysian voters, something like the Socialist Front, perhaps a different name? Or will they now continue on by themselves?
You mean
as
PRM?
PRM, as a standalone party.
Okay, PRM, since its formation, the objective of PRM is to achieve to become a governing party. This PRM objective. For that, once you are governing party, you can carry out policies that PRM all this while have been fighting for. So we know that PRM, the struggle, of a people have been going on for a long time, and we will still carry on with that, But in order to achieve that, we need cooperation. We need the support of various strata of society. So from time to time, we will, towards that objective, we will work with the other people, with the people to attain what the people want.
Okay. Sir, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. I loved the book. I really did. It's a very honest and revealing book. And one thing that a lot of things, the funny thing is, another book that I read recently was the memoir of Tan Sri Lim Kit Siang. And he's also mentioned once or twice in this book. And funnily, when he talks about the politics from 1990, from the GE 990 up to, I think, 2000s, and all the tricks that are used in Malaysia seem to be the same. From last time, it was always racial politics. Even this book says the same thing. Racial politics was always just a trick used to divide us. But congrats on this book. It's a fantastic book, sir. And I'll be sharing your link or whatever, how people can get it. So guys, the book is called Malaysia 45 Years Under the Internal Security Act. It's a fantastic book. You will marvel at just, I don't know whether the word is marvel, but you would just be in shock at the number of people who were detained, the impact ISA had on the political narrative back then, and how you can see slowly throughout the years, the decades, how the narrative was shaped to what it is today. So powerful book, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So guys, there we go. Mr. Koh Swe Yong, he's the second guy from PRM to be on this podcast. We invite more people on. So guys, as always, guys, please like, share, subscribe. Next up, we have Datuk Muhammad Hussein, who's coming on as well. So we'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye.